Assassination Division, the ultra-secret clandestine sword of Interpol. Serifovich's time had finally come. Morgan just hoped the man would survive the arrest so that he could be dragged in front of the ICTY and answer for his crimes. Personally, Morgan was happy to be the one doing the dragging. Morgan's point of access would be via the old servant quarters, which now served as a guest annex. It was connected to the main villa by a long, narrow passageway. Taking a final deep breath before committing to the breach, Morgan moved in from the olive trees. He crept forward in stony silence and, reaching out, tried the handle of the ancient wooden door. Then, just as his fingers closed around the handle, one of Serifovich's bodyguards, a huge man, barreled out through the door. He hadn't even known Morgan was there. But in that split second, when their eyes fixed upon each other, the magnitude of their unexpected confrontation was grasped by both of them. As the bodyguard pushed the door open into the quiet darkness, the light from within momentarily dazzled Morgan. Nonetheless, the Intrepid agent exploded into action. There was no other choice. Fortunately for Morgan, the bodyguard's gun, a Heckler & Koch 416N, was slung across his back, convenient for carrying, but totally useless if needed in a hurry. The weapon's sling, belted tightly across the man's chest, also impeded access to the automatic Morgan knew would be sitting beneath his left armpit. Sloppy, but he hadn't been employed for nothing. The guy was a monster. Just shy of 7 feet tall, he was a good 30 pounds heavier than Morgan. From the instant the two predators engaged, their faces just inches apart, Morgan knew the monster wouldn't get to his weapons in time. But that was no matter to this guy. He would default to brute force. Morgan, the apparent David in this David and Goliath scenario, knew it had to be quick and quiet. He could not lose time or worse, attract the attention of others this early on. Without hesitation, Morgan launched himself inside the guard's immediate space, driving his cupped hands upward and inward, managing to strike both ears simultaneously, bursting the man's eardrums with the ferocity of his attack. The bodyguard wailed in agony, staggering, momentarily disoriented, amid the howl of the winds high in the treetops. Morgan made the most of it, grabbing the bodyguard by the lapels of his leather jacket and pulling him down while driving a knee into the man's crutch. Once, twice, 3 times, Morgan mercilessly pounded with everything he had. The big man was teetering like a large, mortally wounded animal, but he was not going down easily. His huge arms were swinging blindly around in the darkness, each with the power of a wrecking ball on the end of a crane arm. Morgan dropped, narrowly missing one arm, then another, then sidestepped awkwardly around to the side and managed to get his right forearm around the man's neck and chin. Clinging to the bodyguard's back, avoiding the slung weapon and fighting hard to bring him down, Morgan went for the classic blood choke, or sleeper hold maneuver. Using his left hand, he pushed his right arm tight into a narrow V, compressing the carotid arteries and jugular veins on both sides of the guard's tree-trunk neck. Enraged but weakening, the big man dug in hard and stood to his full height, lifting Morgan from the ground. With all his weight and strength, he pushed backward, slamming Morgan hard into the wall of the outbuilding, crushing the air from his lungs. The Intrepid agent's grip on the blood choke loosened and the tables turned. The bodyguard clawed for Morgan's forearm with both hands, and when he found it, held firm, then violently jerked his head backward, head-butting Morgan and splitting the agent's eyebrow. Snapping his upper body forward, the man flipped Morgan over his right shoulder to the ground. Morgan slammed into the hard ground like a thrown safe, only to be grabbed by the throat, lifted off his feet and pinned against the wall. The monster's massive hands closed hungrily around Morgan's throat. Giant thumbs crept expertly across his flesh like blood-fattened slugs until they found just the right spot to squeeze. Morgan fought desperately to wrench the G-clamp hands from his neck. For seconds that seemed like minutes, Morgan went like hell for the other guy's eyes, nose, and ears, but his attempts were all in vain. The man had him. Finally, with just a gasp left in his rapidly failing lungs, blood streaming from a deep gash above his left eye, and the physical exertion of the affray threatening to conquer him, Morgan reached for the Sig Sauer P226. The big man's massive thumbs were closing down on the Intrepid agent's windpipe.